Hello there guys, welcome back to Younes Talks Football. I hope all of you are doing well. On the day after, deadline day, the transfer window is officially closed. So there's no urgency now. There is no waiting for David Ornstein's bomber or Fabrizio's here we go. Or what is it a lot of you said in the deadline day stream yesterday? What is it that I should say? Oh man, wallahi it's done. Wallahi it's done. You lot are hilarious. Big up to everyone that was in the stream yesterday for deadline day as we sort out the last hour of the window. But since then, things have calmed down. And naturally, the content's going to calm down. But now we focus on the football. Now we all get to focus on, you know, what's happening on the pitch, not what's really happening off it. But except for the news, we're going to keep getting little bits of news. And we've got quite a bit of news today. And something that I think Chelsea have probably really clutched their straws at. And what do I mean by that? Well, Chelsea have decided to recall a player. I have good news and bad news. The bad news is that this wasn't, I think, the guy that everyone was looking to be able to come in. The good news is that we know that this guy actually exists. He's not AI. He's real. Here he is. David Washington is returning to Chelsea. Chelsea requested the player's return due to Liam Delap's injury and Nicholas Jackson's departure to Bayern Munich. Yes, this is the face of David Washington, ladies and gentlemen. He is real. He exists. He's an actual human being. You know, he wasn't fabricated out of a lab or something. You know, he wasn't created on ChatGPT. He's real. Here's more. Santos striker David Washington has returned to Chelsea. The English club requested his return due to Liam Delap's injury and Nicholas Jackson's departure to Bayern. Chelsea will pay a fine or reduce part of the amount agreed for the loan. He scored 1 goal in 19 games. What a great return. But you know what? Is it, like I said, with the bad news, this isn't quite what we were looking for. You know, like I said, I'm not expecting Isak to walk through the door, but do you know what I mean? Like, okay, so the strikers that we now have is João Pedro, and we got Margu. And worst case scenario, right? If they both got hit by a bus, we've got David Washington. So the depth is there now in terms of numbers, but I think every single fan can look at this and be really skeptical in terms of the quality that we actually have up until when Liam Delap returns. Yeah, because like I said, even now, if something were to happen to João Pedro, yeah, okay, we got Margu and we got David Washington. You know, if that happens, I swear we're going to feel like we're watching the Chelsea under-23s. We're not watching the actual Chelsea men's team. Do you know what I mean? Like this, that's the levels we're at the moment. But yeah, we're not left with no striker. Technically, the only good thing that I can think of in David Washington is that he's Brazilian. You know, so maybe he can just link up with the other guys and just, you know, maybe get into his element. David Washington was one of those one of those players that we brought into the club and we were like, what the hell are we doing? Who is this guy? Like, why? And it's not like, I'll give an example, Esteval, who was like, at first, many of us, me included, were like, what are we doing? Like, why? Why are you just going into the kiddie department? What are we doing here? And then with time, you begin to see and you're like, oh, okay, hang on, maybe there's a player there. And then he ends up at Chelsea and he starts lighting it up and you're like, oh, wow, okay. David Washington, I mean, there was questions as to whether this brother actually exists. You know, now we know. After all this time where he's technically been signed at Chelsea, we know he's a real human being. That goes to show you, you know, how much this probably shouldn't have happened as a deal in the first place. You know, what was the point of getting David Washington through the door anyway? You know, it's like Omari Kellyman. What was the point? He's gone on loan, if I'm not mistaken, to a League Two side. I mean, holy... That's dreadful. Do you know what I mean? That should never happen. We bought him for 20 mil. Like, what are we doing? You know, those were deals that just should never have happened, right? At that time, and we done that because of PSR. We know, with Aston Villa. We looked after them, we scratched their back, they scratched ours. That's basically it. But Deivid Washington, yeah, he is the third choice now, technically, right? And I guess as third choice, it's not the end of the world. But it's mad when you look and you could have had Kolo Muani on a loan when we all thought that was actually an impossible deal to do, but Tottenham pulled it off. You know? So we'll wait and see. But the news is, technically, we've brought ourselves some depth. It's just not what anyone's really looking for, that's all. So let's wait and see how this one pans out. João Pedro, mate. João Pedro, I have one message to João Pedro. I'm going to need you to do Cristiano Ronaldo level recovery. Every single game, I'm going to need you to jump into ice baths and do flipping cold therapy and do flipping all sorts of bicycle work in the water. I need, either flipping aerobics, gymnastics, get it all in. Get all the recovery that you can possibly get in just to make sure you don't get injured, please. 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 Any one little moment of tightness that you feel, stop, go and stretch for half an hour. We need complete certainty that he's not going to get injured. Yeah? Let's wait and see. So, let me know your thoughts on Deivid Washington coming in as striker number 3. We have João Pedro, Mark Guehi, and Deivid Washington. Up until when Liam Delap returns, and then we've got João Pedro, Liam Delap, and then Mark Guehi. And then we'll see what happens. If we let any of them go back on loan in Jan, maybe. We'll wait and see. So, let me know your thoughts. The players that are going away on international duty have been made clear by Chelsea. Here it is. So, João Pedro, Estevão William, Santos, Caicedo, Reece James, Neto, Cucurella, Jorgensen, and Malo Gusto. That is it. Normally, we're used to seeing Chelsea teams where everyone's gone off on international duty. We got 3 Brazilians, and the rest are all basically just spread everywhere. You know, Caicedo, Reece James, they're going to play, of course. Neto, he'll play for Portugal. Cucurella will play for Spain. Jorgensen for Denmark, maybe not. Malo Gusto, I think he'll play for France as well. So these are the players that we have to just keep an eye on. The rest, everyone, focus on recovery. Just recover. We need more time to get back to our levels. We need just pure recovery because clearly we're still lacking physically. So that's that. Now, let me know your thoughts on that one. It's not as bad as I initially feared, to be honest. An international break where we haven't got that many players away is a good thing. So hopefully after the international break, physically we look better. Fingers crossed. Loftus-Cheek is someone I've not spoken about in ages on this channel, man. Ages. But I'm very happy for him. Guess what's happened? David Ornstein says exclusive. Ruben Loftus-Cheek called into England squad for upcoming 26 World Cup qualifiers. AC Milan midfielder last appeared for national team in 2018. But Thomas Tuchel knows the 29-year-old from Chelsea and now included for Andorra and Serbia fixtures. Congratulations, Ruben Loftus-Cheek. One thing I have to mention though. Ruben Loftus-Cheek now is 29. He's 29 years old. I think Loftus-Cheek, I think Hudson-Odoi, I still think they're 19. Like, it's nuts. Ruben's getting old. But I'm going to say this. Yeah, I'm going to say this. People are looking at Loftus-Cheek and thinking, oh, he's been called up, so he's going to play, in England's midfield and, he'll do a job there. No. If we remember correctly, yeah, let's remember. Who was pretty much the first player that we came across at Chelsea that started inverting? Who was it? Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Do you remember when Loftus-Cheek was put at right wing back and he was actually doing a job there? Thomas Tuchel was playing Loftus-Cheek at right wing back. Do you not remember? And then at times he would end up tucking himself into midfield in order to add an extra man. And back then we were like a bit baffled, but we were like, oh, maybe this might make sense. This might actually add up. And to some games it actually did. Without Trent in the squad, Loftus-Cheek's been called in. So don't expect Loftus-Cheek to just go and sit in a centre mid role. No. He might be tried there because these qualifiers, realistically, we should be winning. So Thomas Tuchel will have elements to experiment. But do not be surprised if we're also managing Reece James's minutes and Thomas Tuchel is going to try Ruben Loftus-Cheek at right wing back, right? And then you see him end up, tucking inside from time to time as an extra midfielder. Do not be surprised if we see that. Do not be surprised. And you know what? If I see it, I'm going to have a smile on my face because it's going to take me back to Thomas Tuchel's time at Chelsea. I can see it already. I can see it. So let's wait and see. Let's wait and see if we're going to get any of that. But Loftus-Cheek's been recalled for the first time in years. So congrats to Loftus-Cheek. Very happy for him. And I hope he smashes it in this England camp. Mark Guehi is the next guy. And do you remember what I was talking about yesterday? About players forcing moves? And I said that Mark Guehi didn't. And look what happened. And that sets a bad precedent. Here's the proof in the pudding. Mark Guehi is extremely unhappy after being denied a move to Liverpool at the last minute. He feels he behaved correctly by continuing to play for Crystal Palace. Guehi planning to release a statement soon, reports Ed Aarons. There you go. Everyone's got to release a statement now, isn't it? Every player needs to feel they need to release a statement. Flipping hell, man. You know what? If I was running a football club, right, I'd be like, if I see a player release a statement, you're fired. End of story. End of story. If a player releases a statement without our knowing, you're done. And that will go in the contract before we even sign the player. Because we're entering a time now where players are going to start getting too big for their boots. And it's already started, if we're being honest. But, this could get really out of control. This could get really out of control. I understand it to an element because there is an element of player autonomy. But it's going past that now. It's starting to go into the point of players are just going to do what they want. Regardless. It's like, no, we can't have, you can't have these crazy people running the asylum. No. I understand Mark Guehi did actually, in fact, act professional. He did. But truth of the matter is, it's done. It's done. The window's dead. That's it. All you can do is put your head down and play. That's all you can do. What are you going to get a move now? No. End it. End the full stop. That's it. Move on. Look on to the next thing. Try and work towards maybe having a move next window in Jan or maybe in summer. That's not far away. Time flies. Time flies. Talking about time flies, that reminds me, I've got something else to show you, and I'm gonna hold that thought, hold that time flies, because someone's about to get referenced. But time does fly. And this is a point where instead of just looking right here, you got to look further. You got to look at what's happening in a few months' time, next summer. That's all going to come around really quick. So just put your head down and play your football. There's nothing you can do. This is why I feel like players feel like they have to do everything they can during the window in order to force a move. Because technically in that point, they can do something. So, yeah, it's a weird time. But Mark Guehi, at the end of the day, he went down the nice guy route and he got finessed. And not through any fault of his own. And not through any fault of Liverpool either. It's Crystal Palace that couldn't get a replacement. Even though Disasi was right there, so cheers for that, Palace. But anyway, that's Mark Guehi. Let me know, how do you feel on this whole Mark Guehi situation? Do you get it? Do you not? Do you feel like he's been completely right? Do you think... How do you feel overall? Players and this sort of saga where players are forcing things. Let me know your perspective down below. I'd really love to see it because it's a direction that football seems to be heading in, and I don't know what the long-term consequences are going to be. So, let me know. Time flies, is what I said. And I feel like many people understand that. This guy doesn't. Dele Alli, available as free agent after contract terminated with immediate effect at Como. We go to day 357 of Jose being right once again. Every single time. Whatever Jose says, it takes about 3-4 years to marinate, and then everyone's like, oh my God, he was spot on. Every single time. We just had that example about Man United and the football heritage stuff. We're now getting it on Dele Alli. There's countless examples, you know, the campaign against Chelsea. There's countless examples of things that this guy says, and people in the moment are like, what? And then down the line, they're like, oh wow, no, he was spot on. Dele Alli. What is that Jose said in that Amazon documentary? Do you remember when he called him into his office? Yeah, I remember it, word for word, you know? He said, I'm 56, but just yesterday, I was 20. You've got to read between the lines. Time flies, you know? And then he told him, I think if you don't demand more from yourself, you're going to regret it. If you don't demand more from the potential that you can hit, it's not me demanding it or anyone else demanding it, it's you demanding it from yourself. If you don't do that, you will regret it. And here we are, years later, and this is what we have. Do you think he's regretting it? Best believe. I'm not here to like rub the salt in the wound, but I'm using this to try and do something good by all of you lot as well. Take a life lesson out of this, yeah? Forget football for a sec. This applies to footballers and everybody, but everybody, you included. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. Hit the potential that you know you can hit. Demand everything out of your own self. Don't seek the approval of others. Seek the approval of yourself, and take into context those that want best for you, and listen to those that do have more experience than you. Mix that with your experiences and your path and what you want out of yourself, and try and be the best that you can be in what you're doing. Because you'll do this, all of a sudden, 2 years have gone by. Time does fly. But to quote Jose, time flies. Time flies. Don't let time go to waste. I hope that helps you, yeah? From me to you, specifically, watching, because I know there's a big audience here, and I feel like that's something, that's a nugget that can actually help a lot of people, yeah? So, I hope it has. Let me know your thoughts down below. Much appreciated. Another point that I want to mention on that is to not look to, not to look in the too near future. You got to look far too. Take into context what you want out of things long term, and have big goals for yourself, and don't stop, and stay consistent and work towards it. Yeah? That's important. But don't miss out on life right now either. Got to find that balance. But keep your eye on the prize, and good things will happen as long as you stay consistent. That's something I don't feel like Dele Alli took seriously. That's something that I feel like hopefully a lot of you can take seriously and apply it to your own lives. So, hope that's helped. Much appreciated. I will catch all of you later on for video number 2, considering if there is going to be any other news, and we'll see what else happens. It is the international break, so things will naturally quiet down, but the content doesn't stop, so make sure you're subscribed, notification bell on to be notified, and I will catch all of you later. In a bit, people, look after yourselves, take care, and peace.